Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Culture Under Fire with Marjorie Waldo, me making a case for the arts. This episode is called From Stage to Spotlight, and it's about our open mic voices. Let me just read the description of the episode for you. The microphone doesn't just amplify voices, it amplifies community. Arts Garage's legendary, and that's because of you two, open mic nights have launched local talents, sparked friendships and love relationships, by the way. That's not in the writing that I was given to read for this episode, and has, more importantly, given emerging voices a platform. Today, I'm lucky to have Desiree Reavis with me, who is one of our open mic hosts, as well as Mariza Brussolo.
Yes.
Who is the longstanding for two of our open mic night hosts. So Thank you both for joining me very much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Marjorie. I'm so excited.
I'm excited too. I had to get the phones pried from their hands before we sat down. So I just want to brag on both of you for a minute. So, and I only picked a couple of things, but you have a pretty vast resume of accomplishments. Mariza, 2019 Florida's Funniest Female Finalist.
Yes.
Heck of an alliteration. 2022 Cape Coral Comedy Festival winner.
Yes.
And you have self-published a book called Kickstart Your Stand-Up Comedy.
Yes, Marjorie. Thank you for mentioning that.
You're very welcome. And you can see her at our open mics on the which Tuesdays?
Yes, I do the first Tuesday of the month and the second Tuesday of the month.
And the first one is comedy and the second one is all arts. So we have comics, magicians, singers, musicians.
Yes.
And then Desiree, you were, this one I think is really cool. I was at the Cultural Council this morning, the inaugural ambassador of spoken word for the Cultural Council for Palm Beach.
Yes.
That's really cool. You founded and produced in 2006 The Stage, which was a poetry and open mic event as well.
Yes, that went 13 years consecutively.
Wow. Wow. And you were Woman of the Year by the North Palm Beach Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, yes.
Really cool. Both of you have long resumes, and it's a honor that you work with us at Arts Garage, so I'm grateful.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. I love the Arts Garage.
So when you were babies, what appealed to you? Were you like a lot of the other artists I've spoken to who were interested in the arts from a very young age?
I grew up on a farm in West Virginia below poverty. So there was no art or cultural council or arts garage or open mics or anything like that. I started writing. My grandparents were my caregivers, and sadly, my grandfather had a massive heart attack, died in my arms, and I started writing.
How old were you?
I was 10. And
Desiree.
I still have the notebook somewhere. The pages have turned yellow, and I just started writing out my feelings, and they rhymed, and I didn't even realize. I didn't even know what poetry was, and I started writing poetry. So I've been writing poetry. I don't want to give my age away, but for a very long time.
For a long time.
Yeah.
Were there any arts programs in your schools, or was that not a focus at all?
I mean, we had art, like, paper maches and glitter and glue and things like
crafty
that.
kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I played piano. I was in the band, and I was in the yearbook and things like that, the school paper. But there wasn't like what there is now, or at least where I'm from is a very small town. Like the population is 1,800 people. So there was no massive art program or anything like that. Right.
Yeah. In most schools, public schools in South Florida, at least, the arts take a second seat so Delray Beach, you would have trouble going out for the night without spending $100 a person for dinner and a drink, and if you wanted dessert. And a couple of blocks off the avenue, almost every one of our elementary and middle and high schools are at major percentages of free and reduced lunch students who may only eat at school, right? Mm-hmm. So the funds that those schools receive from the state for education, the focus is getting those kids on track in reading, math, science, writing. It's more about that than the arts. So it takes a second seat for sure.
Yeah, the poetry summit that this will be my fourth year doing it in 2026. I lost the grant that covered everything. So last year I had to fundraise the entire thing.
Where did you get that grant from?
It was through the city of Riviera Beach, and it was for
Okay.
arts and culture. So last year was my 3rd year of doing the summit, but I had to get very creative and go in the streets and chase people down because to me, especially what I'm doing with my students is so much more than art. It's mental health. I'm teaching them how to process their feelings, how to
For
write out their
sure.
emotions, but then I'm teaching them stage presence, which is public speaking.
For sure.
And most of the kids I work with are coming from unserved communities. So they want to get a job one day. They want to go to college.
That's
So
right.
I need to teach them the self-esteem they need.
That's right.
But I do it in the creative way through poetry and spoken word and storytelling.
The arts are really vital, I think, in preparing kids for the world. And we'll talk more about that in a few minutes.
Absolutely.
So, Mariza, were you telling jokes when you were 3? Did you come out of the womb spouting bits that you could put on the stage?
Well, I do come from a funny family. Like
Okay.
my dad is funny. He's always telling jokes. And my mom was an introvert, but she was very funny. My dad is an extrovert. I'm more like my dad.
Okay.
99% extrovert. But I was more like judged, or I was told that I was weird. Like they were like, you have the weirdest questions. You are so weird. Like I do remember hearing that word weird, like my thoughts were weird or something. So I don't know if that had, maybe I would say something funny. They were like, that's weird. Or they would laugh and like, that's so weird. But I do remember hearing that word a lot. And I'm like, what? I just think I'm normal. And then even now I hear people like, you're like an enigma. Like, I don't even understand you. No one understands me really, but
I
you
understand
me.
you. I do.
You understand
Yes,
me.
I do.
Yes, but most people don't understand me.
And most people don't understand
But I
me
do
either.
notice.
I get
we're
it.
on the same page, Marjorie.
I get
the
it.
same tribe.
Yes, but I do think sometimes something is happening and that is serious, and in my mind, something funny, and I kind of smile and I'm like, I can't. Mariza, this is a serious situation. Why are you making a joke in your mind? Like I can't help my mind to see it in a funny way.
Right. For me, I do a lot of the same. And for me, it's how I process trauma or anxiety, right? I use a lot of humor in my life. I think I'm hysterical. I think I should be on the stage and paid a lot more than I am as a comedian touring internationally. But I also write, and it's for the same purpose. It processes all of that. So when did you think you wanted to take a stage and do some material for an audience?
I was going through a really hard time. I was getting a divorce.
Okay.
And it was just a shock. I've been married for a long time.
What's a long
It's
time?
not like a long time.
Okay.
A couple of decades.
Okay.
And, but things were not good. It's not like, oh, we had that amazing marriage. But I really thought that we're just going to stay together because we have a daughter. And for her, we were going to stay together. And in the moment that we decided we're going to get divorced, he's the one who asked for the divorce. Can you believe that?
No, I can't believe it at all.
Nobody can understand, even me. Like, he's the one who said, let's get a divorce. And I said, okay. So I grabbed my pillow and I went into the guest room and I never turned back. And when I was in the guest room, I looked up comedy class. I have a friend, my friend Deborah Weed. She told me, instead of going to therapy, you should take a comedy class. And I took a comedy class, but it was just like to distract me from filling out paperwork during the day, doing comedy at night. And I remember I would drive to the class and I would be crying in the car, crying, just scared, not crying because I loved him, but like crying for the situation. And then when I arrived at the class, wipe my tears, would go in the class, hee hee hee, ha ha ha, yeah, ha. I would get out, cry all the way, walking, crying,
Oh my
walking,
gosh.
crying, in the car, driving, crying. Then I would be in the driveway crying, and sometimes, it still happens. So I cry a lot.
I don't cry at all. That's problematic. No,
Oh.
I don't. I might tear up if you say something really sweet, but I don't cry at all. But I'm constantly using writing or my own sense of dark humor to process the things that make other people cry. I think, I find for me you're both too young, but Reader's Digest had laughter is the best medicine.
I remember.
You
Reader's
remember it?
Digest.
Okay. So it would tell these little funny stories. And now there's research that indicates absolutely laughter changes the dopamine levels in your brain, all of this, right? And I find that is the most effective way for me to drop my anxiety levels, is to make myself laugh and make other people laugh. I think it's cool. So you did not start actively pursuing anything in the arts until you were a grown woman.
Okay, so my mother, she grew up really poor. And when she was 16, she started her photography business. So that's the art part. And I did study, I have a degree in communications. And my mom thought that I was going to be on TV. Like, she's like,
right,
what is happening? So when I got married young, and she was disappointed that I got married, she's like, but I thought you were going to be on TV.
Well, so make sure she sees the YouTube video of this podcast and
Exactly.
play it on the TV, and you can make her dream come true.
Yes. So
Yeah.
that was the only thing. But I never thought, like, I really even, like, I wake up every morning and I'm so grateful because I did find, so this is like a message for people who are older. Like, it doesn't matter what age you are, you know, because a lot of comedians, they started really young, like they were 15. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I started late. But it doesn't matter because right now it's hitting. It's like I see that people are starting to recognize me. And even though, you know, I'm not like famous, but I'm doing enough comedy. They're like, oh, I remember you from this show.
Right.
I remember you. And I'm like, oh my gosh, at my age, really?
Right.
Like,
Well, one of the things that I think is massively appealing to me, and the open mics were something I wanted to do for the community. We're an arts and culture multidisciplinary venue, and we attempt to provide incredible, high-quality entertainment and jazz and blues and Latin music, theater, everything, touring comedians. But at the same time, we're really dedicated to our community. And the audience that comes to our open mics are either emerging artists who want to practice on a real stage with real lights and a microphone, not at a coffee house, right? Standing up in the corner and doing spoken word or doing a 10-minute comedy set. They want to get on a stage and feel that elevated state of being that you get by having an audience. There's something magical that happens. And it's even more magical when you engage with that audience. So the people in the audience for the open mics are other aspiring artists or supporters of aspiring artists. So I just think it's really meaningful and important to provide that as an outlet of healing and unification of a community. I think it's a really big deal. Can you talk about what you've seen at our open mics or any open mics? It doesn't have to be one of the Arts Garage ones, where you've seen an aspiring artist get on the stage and do something and you watch a shift for them or they verbalize that shift. Have you seen anything like that? Can you share a story?
Well, first I want to share, because I'm fairly new at Arts Garage. I've been hosting about 6 months. I've been hosting spoken word events for almost 20 years.
Okay.
I've never seen a crowd like Arts Garage. And what I mean by that is you can hear a pin drop. They hang on to every single word. I have never seen that anywhere. Like, you can hear a pin drop. And I mean, I'm also not used to the crowd. It is every age group, demographic. Like, it's just... It is just a mesh of people and talent and writers and poets and spoken word artists. So, like, I applaud you for the room that you have there. I've never seen so much respect for the microphone.
Means a lot to hear you say that, because one of the things I believe the arts do in general is bridge divides, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can have our regular programming and the open mics are in cabaret style seating. So it's a table with 6 or 8 chairs, right? And that means that when you buy tickets, you're not buying row L number 6 and 7. You're buying table 13 and first come, first serve to the seats that are there. You're seated with other people that you likely don't know. They can be politically on either side of the fence, as far to the left or as far to the right as you can imagine. They can be from high socioeconomic levels or really struggling socioeconomically, multiple races, ethnicities, just cultural backgrounds. I mean, it's a really beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
We learn about each other, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So an example of where you've seen an artist you've watched
I mean,
have a magical moment, you know?
Oh, I've seen people come up. So I'm very intentional when it's their first time they've ever performed. So I always look at the list, and if it says they've never performed, I'm like, okay, we have to give them extra, extra love and support. And I've seen people come up there and command the stage the first time. And it's like, when I first started, I shook. I couldn't wear heels because my one leg was shaking, the other leg was shaking. I would hold on to the mic like this. And they're coming up there, and it's like they become a whole nother being. And it's like, and then when they're done, the love and the support that they see from the audience, it's like a whole shift. And I love that. So it's a very special place.
You can see people stand taller. I really believe that. And we don't censor anyone, right? Spoken word has caused us the most troubles over the years because we encourage people to participate. We encourage people to understand that by staying in the room and listening, you are making your statement so that there's not a lot of heckling in the crowd, right? But we want, if you come from the far right, if you come from the far left, and we're in a really divided period of history right now. It's not history yet, but I'm hoping it will be soon, that it is so divided. And I think it helps people learn about each other. If you don't like what's being said or you disagree with it at a level that you think it shouldn't be said, then you can just walk out of the room. That's feedback for the artist, right?
Yeah. You never see a poet get canceled. Like, unfortunately, I've seen comedians get canceled. Yes. You've seen politics. I mean, every genre there is, but I've never seen a poet get canceled.
Yeah. Well, it's so personal. Mm-hmm. What people I don't think realize is how personal it is for comedians as well. I mean, there are comedians who make their living, famous ones, who make their living off of making fun of other people. It's social commentary for sure. But I personally think that the best comedians are the ones that make fun of themselves. What have you seen on the stage?
Yeah, so I started as an attendant. I was going to Arts Garage every month, and there was a different host, Casey. And she when she left, then she suggested me, and then that's
that's right. So that was a long time ago.
Yes, like I think I've been doing it for 4 years.
I think so too.
And so I was a comedian going there, waiting for my spot, waiting for it, and then I became the host. And I just want to talk a little bit about what you were mentioning before about the Arts Garage being a place where people have the opportunity to be on stage, a real stage, okay? Because I go to a lot of open mics, and some are at a bar, and there's TVs going on, and we are fighting for the attention because the people are like, I came here to have a drink. I didn't know there was going to be a comedian here, so I came here to watch the game. So it's also unfair for them because they didn't know that there was going to be a comedian there. But I still appreciate those places because in order for us to become better, we have to do as many open mics as possible. But Arts Garage, there's no competition. I mean, you are there. There's no TVs, no distractions, and they're there. They're buying a ticket. So comedians really get the experience of performing as an artist, as a comedian, a professional comedian. And some comedians still have not been hired as comedians. So this is an excellent practice for them. This is very different. But I've had comedians where they're just starting and they get booked from somebody from the audience. They get discovered, maybe the HOA, the president of an HOA. So Arts Garage is not just giving an opportunity for people to practice, but it's giving like opportunity for them to be discovered by people and actually get paid gigs. I know of a few they have gotten hired by people who attended, and they're like, because I do mention, I'm like, if you like any of the comedians, you can talk to them after the show, and maybe you can hire them. And that has happened. So
really
if
cool.
Comedians come, I'm not sure that would happen at a bar where they're not paying attention, and they don't even think about that. But I'm like, if you like a comedian, you can book them. And I've known of a few that have gotten booked from the Arts Garage. And it's also the presentation. They get to see them on a stage. They see how they act on an actual stage.
Well, like when you're doing readings for film, if you're an actor, they want to screen test. They want to see how you do under the bright lights. And it's the same. Yeah. The people who are performing for any of our open mics are getting a chance to do it on a stage. And all of the people that perform at comedy and poetry can record their work and watch back and listen to the feedback from the audience, all of that. I think it's really cool.
Yes.
I had forgotten that you started as a performer.
Yes.
Yeah, that's very cool. All right, so why spoken word? Why did you transition from writing? Spoken word is a different beast than writing. I'm not a spoken word poet. I need to read it for you to feel it the way I want you to, but I don't have the cadence or the style that spoken word artists are known for. So why? Why did that appeal?
The other night, I decided to write this poem. And even though I was hoping for something to come out on a more positive note, sometimes it just doesn't happen like that. And before I knew it, the Morse codes and metaphors began to flow about deep secrets that will hold onto your soul and just refuse to let go. And even though I tried to kill it, it wouldn't lay down and die. It kept coming forth like Lazarus, and it refused to be denied. With hurt so deep, I swear I saw my paper begin to cry. See, I wanted to write about happy feelings, love, and sunshine, but my pen became silent. So instead, I had to settle for rain and pray for enough strength for this poem to write about pain. And as my pen began to ease against my notebook, I felt free. I felt the pulse between my fingers as my words began to breathe. And if you want the rest of the poem, you got to come see me tonight at Arts Garage.
Hey, there
Oh
you
my
go.
God.
Nicely done. Nicely done. What I think is interesting, and just hearing you do that piece illustrates it because it feels more conversational than if you're reading a poem from a page, or unless you're hearing the author of that poem read it to you with their own inflection and tone, and they know what they intended with it. Even then, it doesn't have the feeling that spoken word has.
Yeah, spoken word just has that energy. And, there's poets that can perform and maybe their content isn't even the deepest or something that would really catch you, but the way they can deliver it. And then there's sometimes, and that's why I work with a lot of students, they have wrote the most magnificent poem, but they don't have the confidence or the delivery. But then the thing about Arts Garage and what makes it so beautiful is there's so many storytellers and authors and writers that come. It's not just the poetry or spoken word, like they're reading stories and it's so vivid and you can close your eyes and you can literally smell the burnt toast. Or wait a minute, isn't that when you're having a stroke?
Yes, it is. I think
not
it
burnt
is.
toast, but you can just smell the things they're describing and you can get a feeling for who they are. So that's what makes it so magical.
And when I read my work to friends, because I don't try to publish anything, I don't try to get it in front of people. I've read one poem at an open mic years ago. I curse too much in my poetry to be comfortable being the CEO and
I don't really
sharing
curse
that
at Arts
stuff.
Garage either, because when I go in there, for some reason, so I do have to say, this is the first show that I've ever hosted that wasn't my own. And when it's my own, I can do whatever I want. But because I have young adults, I have Gloria, the senior warrior, who she just turned 80. So because of that,
You
keep
temper
my
your
curse.
language.
Yeah, I do. I definitely do. And it's hard sometimes. And I also make sure I don't get political either, because I want everybody to feel welcomed in the room. And that's the other thing. One thing I strive to do is after every poet, 99% of the time, I am going to do commentary on what they just read
That
or
feedback's
spoke.
important.
Yes. So I want everybody to feel seen and heard and appreciated. So I strive very hard to do that there.
I think that's really worthy. It's really having integrity with the craft and giving the largest opportunity for people to grow. Although I won't censor you if you drop an F-bomb
I
or
know,
something,
but
right?
you know what happened? One of my first, maybe my second or third time, this woman came up to the stage and she was talking about how she had done a class, like almost like a Toastmasters. And her son said, no one's going to listen to you. You're not funny. You're not special. Like, she was saying
Nice
how
son.
Wow,
horrible,
he sounds
these
lovely.
horrible things he said to her. So she did her, I think it was a story. She got down the stage and I said, what's your son's name? I can't remember. I was like, Ethan. I said, tell Ethan he's an asshole.
Yeah.
And half the room laughed and the other half went, and that was when I was
Isn't that
like,
funny?
yeah, I'm going to keep F-bombs and everything else to myself at Arts Garage just to respect the crowd. So.
Yeah, I think you can assume that there will be people that will share that. I do think it's wise to not be overtly political.
Right.
To state fact, right now, it's really difficult to have an opinion about politics in public without blowback, and that's blowback from either side of the
And
the
it shouldn't be
yard.
like that.
It shouldn't be.
We should all be able to respect each other.
Yes.
But yeah, absolutely. So I keep I let the poets, do the talking.
The poets
for me.
can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as the host, I do appreciate that because I think it makes you less divisive.
I don't
right?
want to turn anybody off. I don't want them
Right.
to be like, I don't want to come back because Desiree believes in this or Desiree
Right.
believes in that.
Right.
Like one thing I do stress is supporting Arts Garage, that here's a venue that they open to us. And like, I'm always trying to get them to go buy drinks, whether
Yep.
it's water or tequila. I'm like, the more you drink, the better our poetry gets.
That's right.
But,
That's right.
But yeah, like I'm always saying, like, you have to support the venue because the venue supports you because
Absolutely.
there's not that many venues that are doing what you guys are doing.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. What about you?
Yes. What about me? What part?
So, Marissa, you're a mother, I think. Are you a mom?
Yes, I'm a mom, and I want to tell all these ladies out there, even if you're a mom, you can come and do comedy, or you can come, to the other open mics. And but it's hard, being a mom and then doing comedy. But you have to pay attention to what the children are saying. Like the other day, I overheard my daughter telling her friends that her teacher passed out drunk after eating her lunch.
What?
I was like you. I was appalled, so I just stopped homeschooling her.
It was the mom that passed out drunk.
Yeah, but you gotta pay attention to what they're saying. You just never know what they're gonna be saying.
You do
You're
not.
just
That's hysterical. Oh my God. Okay, so thank you both for sharing a little bit about
Marjorie.
your own work. Those were both great. And I don't cry a lot, but my eyes got watery with both of you.
Aw.
So it means the world to me. I really think the arts are a powerful, powerful driving force in healthy communities and healthy people. So if you would think about your work from that perspective, and we all know that the arts are an economic driver. So if people come to a show at Arts Garage, whether it's an open mic or any other, they often will go out afterwards for a couple of drinks, or they pay the parking fee in the garage, or they go to dinner before if they can afford it. Sometimes people can't. I'm careful. But there's definitely an economic driver that happens when you are supporting the arts and participating in the arts. But there's also really, really important health factors that are influenced: mental health, socio-emotional health, physical health. What have you seen from that perspective in your work at Arts Garage or anywhere else, or in your own personal life?
I work with a lot of kids now, and some of the poems that they write, you would be crying. It is devastating what they're going through. And that's why I started the summit when I did, because it was right after COVID, and I seen how hard COVID was mentally on all of us, but specifically the kids that they couldn't go to school anymore. They were isolated. Those same kids that they only get a meal when they go to school, now they were at home.
Yep.
And sometimes, unfortunately, not everybody has the love and support at home that they need. So some of the things that I've seen my students write about will just rip your heart out, but it's also healing. There's something about taking your power back in your words. Like I teach them there are power in your words, and that you can speak life and you can also speak death. So it's always important to speak positivity in your life. And when I do some workshops, and sometimes I only get 30 minutes with the kids, so I can't necessarily do a whole creative writing workshop, but I teach them about positive affirmations, something that simple, something that you want to work on, and how you pick that word. You look in the mirror every day and you don't say, I think I can, I want to. I am powerful. I am purposeful. I am strong, like all those things. And you can see how their body language changes. And then when they have a group of other students around them that are supporting them, like you can
It's
feel
big.
it.
It's big. I mean, there's two things there. One I wanted to ask you is whether or not when you're doing more than a 30-minute workshop, are you able to provide like a clinical social worker or anybody who, I would imagine that you would see things that maybe the kid needs more than the workshop.
So I went to school for sociology and psychology.
Okay.
So that's actually what I
you
went to
have a little
college
bit of
for.
that angle yourself.
Yeah, and then I was actually working on getting certified, and I can't even remember the name of this program, but it's a certification for mental health, almost like emergency mental health.
Okay.
So, and then there's this wonderful book, and I can't remember it. I was going to bring it up earlier, but it literally talks about what music, comedy, poetry, dance does to you, like the biology of yourself, the science behind it. Do you know what book I'm talking about?
I don't off the top. Your brain on art is the only thing I can think of. Is that the one? Okay.
That is the one.
Okay.
Thank you, because I could not remember the name of that book because I have that book. And
It goes deep into the science. Like for a fiction reader, that's a hard read. But it is absolutely documented research on the rewiring of your brain.
They used to subscribe poetry when someone was sick. Like it goes back hundreds and hundreds of years. So it's just crazy what it does to the brain and how the brain just lights up when it's exposed to art. So
yeah, the other thing I think that's important is people tend to feel very isolated when they're experiencing hard times. If they've got demons or they're going through trauma, the divorce stories hit me, Mariza, because in my second divorce, I've had 10. Not really, but I'm looking for husband number 3. So we'll see if anything comes out of the podcast. But after my second divorce, I was talking to the people in my kids' preschool, and it was sort of a granola style preschool that was wonderful, where the kids got to choose their own activities and there was lots of parental involvement and support. So we would have a certain number of days we had to work with the kids and provide assistance with the activities. And I was talking to a couple of the other moms about what I was going through. And what they said was, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, that's so hard." And I stopped talking because I felt like it was only me. Within a couple of years, a couple of those relationships blew up. And the issues in those relationships had been going on for some time. So the difference it would have made for me to hear another mom with young children say, "Things are really tough for me right now too," would have made all the difference. And I think that when you're able to find an audience, small or large, to allow you to process out loud what you're experiencing, it for that audience, as well as making you feel supported, it also makes the members of the audience feel less isolated in their own issues. Because most of the things that you hear comedians talk about or you hear poets talk about, they are universal things that many of us are experiencing.
Yes.
absolutely.
And what happens before, like when they arrive, right? And they gather and they're like, "Are you a comedian? Are you, and then there's sharing in that moment. Sometimes people are going through a struggle and they're still there. That's why I know a lot of the backstory of many of the comedians.
Yeah.
So it could be like they have a full-time job plus a part-time job and they're still writing comedy and they're coming and they, and sometimes they're like, "I'm going to be super late." And I'm like, I know their story. I know a girl who's taking care of her mom and she has a full-time job and she still wants to do comedy. And I just love Arts Garage, how it gives all this support to these people, And I understand that right now with the feed for the, I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Well, we've increased the fees because we're trying to make sure that open mics can continue. Because running an event in our space, it's not the electric or those things. It's not the ticketing software. It's people. We have an amazing team of people, and they don't come cheap. That is because there are places that will not pay their people well,
But
but we want to keep ours.
But I want to clarify that you are not really charging. Like to the comedians, you're not charging.
No, you have to buy drinks.
They're just drinks. It's
2
just
drinks.
a minimum purchase, which a lot of clubs are
Yep.
putting. Minimum 2 drinks.
Yep.
And I think that some comedians misunderstood. Like, I have to pay to perform. No, you just minimum purchase 2 drinks. It's just that you're paying them up front. You're paying the $10 and you get your 2 drinks.
The other thing I see.
And that's cheap. I'm sorry to
It is
interrupt,
cheap.
but when I used to go to the Improv when it was downtown West Palm, it was 2 drink minimum. And I think it was $10 for 1 water.
Yes.
Like when you would go in there and even if you got a free ticket to go in, by the time you left, like your bill was crazy if you got alcohol.
We're dancing on the line of keeping it affordable, but trying to raise the revenues a little to make it
So
is
you
a
stay
loss
open.
financially to do the open mics, period.
Right.
But it is an investment in our community and the people of our community. So we're willing to keep that in our minds as we make business decisions regarding the open mics, but we need a little help. And as we look at current times and the very near future, funding is changing. So it really does matter and it really does help. And I do think it is still very affordable. We're
And for how long? You
Yeah.
were not even putting that minimum.
that's
For
correct.
how many years?
That's correct. That's
no
correct.
minimum. There was
It's a
no minimum.
huge
There was
investment.
encouraging. It was like, please, if you could, please, please, please. And some people did it. And some people that were already buying drinks. So
Right.
it doesn't make a difference for certain people.
Right.
But the ones that were not, you just get your 2 waters. If you don't drink alcohol, get your 2 waters, whatever. It's just really not a big deal, I don't think.
No, I don't think it's a big deal either. I don't.
And I
think
need to
it's
see the big picture of what they're supporting.
Right.
Like Arts Garage is supporting them. Like you're getting a professional stage, microphone, sound people.
Do you know, it was at the comedy night, I think, when it was the first night that we did
Yes.
the thing, there was a comedian who didn't want to pay to perform, to spend $10 on 2 drinks. So they sat down on the couch to stew at my house. For my son, I call it the pity sofa. So the person went to the pity sofa to figure out what they thought about this change. And another comedian who was signing up to perform looked at the person and said, "You're going to be the one who complains even more when they cancel the open mic because they can't pay the bills." So we didn't even as a team have to say anything to explain or justify the change. It was kind of cool to hear somebody who was also a performer willing to stick their neck out for the decision we made, you know?
Yes.
I want you to talk about, if you will, Mariza, if you're comfortable, talk about going back to your divorce and how that was when you started comedy classes, about the mental health or emotional health. How did participating in comedy affect your processing of that trauma in your life?
I don't mean to be dramatic, but I really don't know where I would be right now. Like depressed, not motivated to do anything. And, I had to continue with my life. But comedy helps me, even like on a daily basis now. If I go to the store and the cashier is rude, I change it. I don't see it as bad. I'm like, oh, this could be a good joke. And so with my divorce, I used to have more jokes about my divorce. And I'm like, I don't want my whole set to be too much about divorce. But I did leave a few. And they're really funny because it's a way of seeing things differently. And when you are struggling. Comedy just helps so much. You start kind of thinking, how can I find the funny in this? Because this is good stuff. Now, anywhere I go to a restaurant or I go whatever, any kind of problem can be turned into a joke.
Do you take a notebook with you for topics, either of you, when you get a good idea?
I have in my phone.
On your phone, you have a file? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
My poems would always come to me in the shower or when I'm trying to go to sleep. That's when they would really that's when they would come.
There's a thing on Amazon that you can write in the shower.
Really?
Yes. Yes, you could write in the shower.
Oh, that's really cool.
Like a board, kind of clipboard type of thing. Yes.
That's really cool.
Yes,
all right.
In the shower, that happens to me too.
So I don't want to keep you too long. I think we've hit like the magic hour of how long people are willing to listen. Is there anything that you would like to say to finish it up before I escort us off of the air?
I will say poetry saves lives. And what you were just talking about in your question to her, I had, when I was doing the stage, I would like literally text, call, message everyone, are you coming? Are you coming? Are you coming? And I had this poet and he waited till years later to share with me. He was literally on a bridge about to commit suicide. And I called him and I was like, are you coming to the stage tonight? And now like where he's blossomed in his life is just amazing. I won't go into the details because it'll be easy to figure out who he is. But I will just say art in general can save lives.
That human connection. You know, in education, I was in education for 150 years. And what they say is it only takes one teacher, one personal contact with one kid who's struggling can change their life. I believe it's the same for the arts. So I would agree with you wholeheartedly. Marissa, any final thoughts?
Yes, just get up again. Get up again. You know, problems come to us, and I've cried in my bed how many times, because I do cry a lot. And I'll really literally collapse in my bed. I'm like, what, God? What am I supposed to be doing? Direct me. And I get up again, and I get up again. It can be a big fall where it feels like the world is ending, or it could be a small fall that is like, I can't believe that person said that to me. And it's like, we all can be emotional sometimes. We just get up and come to the Arts Garage, and there's a stage there, and everybody's so nice. Like you said,
And a community.
Yes, the audience is they're really nice. And like that, like sometimes if they get upset or something, I'm like, just talk to your therapist about it.
Right.
The audience, you know, if they don't like a joke, I'm like, talk to your therapist about it. Maybe that's a good topic to explore. But comedians and for all arts, also musicians, singers, you know, to come to the Arts Garage, and we'll love to have you. And you're going to then maybe start a new dream, a new adventure.
Absolutely. And at Arts Garage or anywhere else that you can find a platform to share who you are, to find your tribe, right? To find people who can support you and give you hope at a time when a lot of people aren't feeling very hopeful. So I appreciate you both so much. Desiree, you and Marissa, thank you so much for coming.
We appreciate
and for
you
participating.
Yes.
I'm really glad to know both of you, and I'm grateful for your talent at Arts Garage that you share with us and for you spending time with me today. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Marjorie.
Okay, everybody. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, or any other podcasting platform. Give us a like. We would love a review, and we'd love it if you'd share the podcast. So I hope you ladies will do the same. If you have an idea for a guest or a topic for the podcast that celebrates the arts in our communities, then email me at info@artsgarage.org. And we'll see you soon. Thanks, ladies.
Thank you.
Thanks.